Hi everyone, and welcome to part 5 of our Scratch series. So once you get to the Scratch site, please make sure that you are logged in, and then we're going to go to Create. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We've been building some small games for the last few weeks, and we're going to have a look at sound and build a simple musical instrument. It'll be a little bit shorter this week, but I'm going to show you enough that you can then go on and make it more advanced if you want to do. So a couple of things we're going to do to start with. We're going to remove the cat sprite, and we're going to need some new blocks over here. So I'm going to go down to the bottom left there, click on this button, and these are the custom blocks, and we're going to go for the first one, which is music, and it'll just put that at the bottom there for us. So we need our first sprite, but we're going to arrange the sprites in a certain order. So to help with that, I'm going to click on the stage here, look on backdrops, and then I'm going to go up to backdrops there, and this will let me draw on the stage on the background. So get the circle tool, we're going to put it to no fill, we're going to turn our outline down to 1, and then I want to draw an oval shape roughly sort of about the middle of the stage there, and we can see it over here. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's not going to remain, but it's just going to give us a guide later. We'll go back to code, and then important then that we click back here in the sprite tray. So I'm going to go to choose a sprite and magnifying glass. So there's quite a few that you can choose here this time. You could choose one of the musical instruments. There are also sort of just some shapes and things that you can choose on here. So entirely up to you for those. I'm going to go into the music one, and I'm going to take the speaker. So that's going to be our first sprite. Now we need to resize this a little bit. So if we try 60% there, and I'm going to put this one right over on the end. What we're going to do is create a musical scale here. So our first one there, we're going to name it with capital C. I'm going to get that one built first, and then we can go and duplicate it for our others. So what we want to begin with here is we're going to go into events, and this one when space key is pressed. So if you take a look at your keyboard, we're going to go for the middle row of keys. So we're starting off with A, S, D, F. So our first key is going to be A. First note that we want though on our keyboard is going to be C, which is why we've named it there. So we're going to go down to these new music blocks, and I have this one which says play note, and it says play note 60, which doesn't mean an awful lot to us. So here then we've got the keyboard, we can click on those. So I want to click on the C there, and then we put this one in. Okay. Now it's helpful to know exactly which one of these we are pressing. So what I'm going to do just before we're finished with that, I'm going to go to Lux. We're going to get the change color effect, and I'm going to put this at 100. I'm going to drop that in there. We can duplicate that one, and then we put it at -100. Let's join those back together again. So now each time I press the A key to play C, it should play a note, and it'll change whatever we're doing there. Okay. Before we duplicate it, there's one last thing that we need, and this will come on then if you decide to make something a little bit more advanced. So I'm going to music, and we've got here, look, instrument. So at the moment it's set to piano. You can pick another one if you want from those, but we're just going to put that at the beginning. So the idea is when we press the A key, it sets our instrument to piano, it changes the colour of this sprite, plays that note, and then it changes the colour back again. So hopefully we've got that one working. At that point, it's worth giving that a name, saving it, and there I'd recommend pause the video, go and make your sprite, get your background sorted there, get that first program done, and then come back to the next bit. Okay, so if you've done that, the next part's a little bit simpler because all we're going to do is duplicate our sprites now. So I'm going to duplicate that. As soon as I duplicate it, make sure your caps lock's on, and we're going to name that one as D. And then we duplicate again, double click in there, E, duplicate again, F, and our last one, because we've already got C, we want a higher C, so we'll just put that as a lowercase c, so that they're both slightly different. What we need to do now is arrange them on here. So we'll find D. So if I click a sprite and then click another one, you can see, if you watch up here, look, it just highlights slightly for a second or so. So I'm going to put that there. E is here, so let's move the other ones out of the way. So F, we want there. G, A, B, and our high C. Okay, so they don't have to be perfect when you've arranged them. We're just getting a rough semicircle there. But once we've got that, we don't really need the backdrop anymore. So I'm going to go into backdrops. I'm going to go up here to backdrops, get the pointer tool, click on this line, and you can either delete it there or press delete. Let's go back to the code, and then we go back to our sprites here. So we go to our second one, D. So first thing we need to do is set our note to D there. We need to change our key, so next to A is S. So now we've got two of these at work. Notice it's doing all of these at the moment because we haven't changed the keys, but we know that those two are working. So we'll go to E, and we're going to change that one then to D because that's the next letter on our keyboard. But the note is going to be E. And then you just need to continue doing that across these. So work your way across the keyboard. So at this point now, the key happens to be F, and that's the note that we want. C, D, E, got F there, and we'll just keep doing it. So on this one, we've now got G, and that's our note as well. Then we're going to go to H on our keyboard, so that's the next one. But our note now is going to be A. Next sprite B, and our letter is going to be J. And then finally, our last letter is going to be K, and our high C up there. So now we should be able to play along those. So we've got all of our instrument done there. Again, at that point, good idea, save it, go and duplicate those sprites and change them so that you've got that working keyboard. Okay, if you've done that, I'm not going to do the next section. I'm just going to show you how to do this, and you can decide which parts of these extension tasks that you want to do. So the first one is I'm going to go into choose a sprite, and I'm going to go to letters, and I'm going to start off with C, which is here. So we're going to need to make that smaller. Let's try, say, 50%, and I'm going to put it just above our speaker for C. So it's a good idea. Then I'm just going to duplicate that block by just dropping it onto this one. So make certain that you definitely clicked on that sprite because we don't want to go editing the older program. So we're on the block C sprite. We're just going to keep the when A key is pressed. So we're going to remove that. Then I'm going to go to motion. And what I want to do is make this turn around 360 degrees. But we've got to do it in stages, otherwise it'll be so quick that we won't see it. So I'm going to put a turn there of 40 degrees, and then we need a repeat loop, and I'm going to make that 9. So put those together and put it there. because 9 times 40 is 360, which will give us a 360-degree turn. So when I press A, that spins round, and it's just another way of indicating which way we're on. So if we were doing that again, then the easiest thing to do is to go back into our letters. Let's find D. So we made these 50%, put that above our next one. Go back to block C and drag that one in. We're going to go back to the speaker for D because we just need to check our letter, and it's S, so that's exactly what we need here. So we get our 2 parts of the instrument, and then you would continue that along for any of those. Last thing that you could do, again as an extension if you wanted to do, or instead of doing those letters, I'm going to go back to our first sprite, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to leave its name as C2 there. So on this one, I'm going to go into costumes, I'm going to get our paint bucket fill tool, and if we move this slider along, we'll get some different colours here. So we just want something a little bit different from what we've already got there, and then let's colour that one in. Go back to the code, make sure we're on this one, and it's a really simple change here now. I'm going to take those down, we're going to no, we don't need to do that, we're just going to change the instrument. So let's change the instrument to something else. I'll change that to electric guitar. The key we do need to change, so I'm going to go into the bottom row of keys and start with Z on this one. You might want to start a little bit further on the keyboard, depending if you want to play this with both hands or whichever. So now we've got our new block here. Just put it underneath there. So we can play them together, we can play them separately, or anything like that. Okay. All you would do then is let's duplicate that D block so it comes in as D2, and it's the same thing again. So we change our key to an X, and we change our instrument to the same one as before, which is the electric guitar. And then I'm just going to go to the costumes, and I'm going to just colour those in. You can do it either way. You could duplicate this sprite and change the note and the letter, or you can duplicate that one and just change the letter and the instrument and then cover it in. It's up to you either way, whichever one of these you want to do. And that's just hidden a little bit behind there, so I'm just going to pop that one there. So we now have our different instruments there. If you want to do any more with that, it's worth having a look at this one for play drum. So you could bring in again another sprite. So maybe if we go for the drum kit, which should be a little bit more obvious, I'm going to make that slightly smaller and put it up there. And it's the same thing here. Then you could assign a letter to that, maybe from somewhere else on your keyboard. So possibly letter 1, sorry, not letter 1, number 1, at the top of the keyboard. Yeah, so we get the drum beat. You could put that on a repeat. You could use a loop and possibly use a wait as well for any of those. So once that one's pressed, and you might say maybe again 0.25. So it'll just keep that going and allow you then to go in and play anything on those. So as I said, it was a shorter one this week, so that's all for this week. You've got some scope to just play around with that. You could also, if you wanted to do something slightly different, maybe go back to one of the games that we've had, and now that you know how to bring in those extra music blocks, you could use those to play some slots like tunes inside some of your games there. So see you next time.